Hello and welcome to our Q&A for this replay of the Dog Anxiety Summit. I'm very happy to be here with you all today, and I'm looking forward to having a really beautiful time with you and answering everyone's questions. I'm Dr. Edward, the Healing Vet, your host, and today I just want to, before we roll into this, I want to talk a little bit about co-regulation and how you, the human, your nervous system, tone, state of consciousness, where you are in the relaxation arousal spectrum, where your baseline is, which should be in nice, healthy, deep green zone. But if you have anxiety or trauma, and if you might be kind of edging up over here and you're kind of a tense and anxious person, that really, really does affect your pets in a very profound way. And everything that you can do to help yourself is going to make a really profound difference for your pets. What does that look like? I think the first thing it looks like is really just being aware of where you're at, coming into your body, feeling your body, tuning into your body, being present in your body, and being in touch with, where am I? How relaxed am I? How tense am I? How and what's going on? Because as soon as you bring awareness to that, your body starts to relax automatically in any case. Though it's kind of tricky because it's a little bit uncomfortable to do this, but I really just want to help you know that the more you consciously relax, consciously work on settling, calming, soothing, grounding your nervous system, the more it's going to help your anxious animals. It really, really is going to make a huge difference to any animals who are anxious if you can get better at having a nice, solid relaxation for yourself. So that's something that I really encourage you to do. And, there's some simple ways that you can do that. One is that you just breathe, be aware of your breath and soften into your breath and let your breath get a little deeper and slower, and that'll make a difference. So day 3, it's all about dog training and socialization. I had Dr. Ian Dunbar doing talking about fear periods in puppies and development stages. That's a fantastic interview. I really enjoyed that one. Teode Anderson talking about why aversives make anxiety worse. Should never use aversives, particularly aggressive type aversives like shock collars and that kind of thing. Kamal Fernandez talked about positive reinforcement and behavior modification, how to use it. Ness Jones talked about decoding separation anxiety, which is a very common type of anxiety. And right now, we need some questions from you guys. So please pop into the chat and start asking questions. And just check in too. I'd love to hear from where are you? What dogs do you have? Do you have an anxious dog? If you have an anxious dog, what kind of anxiety? And what are you doing about it? What's working? What isn't working? I'd love to hear from you in the chat, because it's going to be a pretty boring Q&A if you don't ask questions. And I really do enjoy answering the questions. So if you want to make me happy and make me smile, please ask me a question. I'm going to feel all kind of lonely here if no one's going to talk to me. So please do pop in. This is an opportunity for you to get free advice from me about anything and everything that you want when it comes to helping prevent and heal anxiety in your beautiful pets. We do, if you want to take things a little bit further and really, really get active with healing your pet's anxiety, you'll see in the chat that there are links to the Healing Dog Anxiety Holistic course, which is a really, really good course which will help you understand the nuts and bolts and the practicalities of creating and implementing a holistic anxiety treatment plan for your beautiful animals. Hi, Barb from Canada. I've only had the opportunity to watch 3/4 of the separation anxiety talk so far today. No questions yet. Who else is out there? Please give me a hoy and just say hi and where you're from. I'd love to know who's out there, who's listening, whereabouts in the world you're coming from, and very much would like to answer any questions you have. So anxiety is a complex thing. It's complex. It is multifactorial, which means that there is a lot of different kind of factors and triggers that can be in play in causing the disease and symptoms of anxiety that we see in our pets. And, probably more than half of the animals I see have at least some kind of anxiety going on. It's very, very common. Now, is that because humans are so stressed and under so much pressure? I think that's part of the story for sure. And hello to Victoria. Today's talks are terrific. Typing up a question. Thank you, Victoria. I really appreciate that. Hi to Sharon from Florida. I'd love to hear a question from you too. Hi to Sandy from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, who I believe has a dog called Freya that we're working with. So how does anxiety develop? I think anxiety develops, you can have some predilections. So if you've had one or both of the parents have any kind of anxiety, it's very, very strongly heritable. Temperament is very strongly heritable. So you can have some dogs that come into this world kind of pre-anxietized or having a greater fragility when it comes to lack of resilience or a nervous system that is kind of already wired before anything happens to them. And I do believe that some dogs are what I call neurospicy. Now, I'm a bit neurospicy myself. I'm kind of I'm definitely ADHD and on the autism spectrum myself. And that you do get some dogs that are just not neurotypical, and they are way more sensitive. They have a much more greater sensitivity to stimuli of all kinds. Their senses are kind of turned right up. And those dogs often have more trouble coping with new things, because the new things for them might be 10 or 100 times more intense than for a dog that is not neurospicy. And then what happens after that to contribute to anxiety? Well, anxiety, you've got a dog who might be kind of happy and they have some kind of event, some kind of trauma experience that causes a fear response and jams their whole system onto high alert fight-flight mode. And what goes along with that is also an imprint of emotions and memories. So then the mind gets involved. It's a two-part thing. You've got the body, physiological arousal, and you've got mental, emotional distress and arousal. And, if you hopefully, depending on the dog and depending on how resilient they are, they should be able to bounce back. But if you haven't been good at having healthy boundaries and getting this dog independent and resilient, and teaching your dog how to regulate and relax, because this is a skill that most dogs need to learn, and humans are not very good at teaching, by the way. But then every event can kind of build on the next. So if you have one event and there's a residue that causes anxiety, and this is one of the reasons why it's really important to look for the really, really early signs and start acting to help heal that anxiety before the little signs become a really big problem. Okay, hi Sharon. I started my dog at doggy daycare at a young age. Could that have contributed to his anxiety? He's a 19-pound cockapoo, just turned 3. That's a really good question, Sharon. Thank you. And everyone else who's on here, could you please be lining up your questions, typing away, letting us know what you would like to discuss. Can be any topic at all about anxiety, overexcitement, over-arousal, problems learning, anything you like at all. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. So starting your dog at doggy daycare at a young age, it depends on the doggy daycare. It might have been a contributor, but I couldn't tell you without actually, having a long chat and trying to work out exactly what's going on. So it depends on how well the doggy daycare is run, whether or not they take care to not let puppies get mugged, because if you have a doggy daycare where they're just a bit loose and they kind of just let all the dogs run riot and let some dogs mug other dogs and they're not managing that. If your puppy is not as assertive as other puppies and got mugged, then it definitely could contribute to anxiety. Again, if you've got a dog that is neurospicy or has that kind of fragile, sharp, shy temperament that is strongly heritable, and you then you will definitely can contribute. And if you go to a doggy daycare that's well run and well managed, then maybe not so much. We've got from April's 9/11 Academy. I think we've only got about half of your comment there. So Tioti said aversives just aren't going to work. So if you had a heart attack and came to my hospital, I used an electric shock, which is aversive, and I used it because that's all I had that could save your life, would you still not want me to use it? I really think that this is apples and oranges here. Those are two very, very different things. If you're using aversives in training, well, guess what? They can work, and they do work. They can be highly effective. But there is a well-documented impact of psychological harm on the animal when you're using aversives like shock collars and stuff like that. Not only is there psychological harm to the animal when you use aversive training techniques, I mean, you can absolutely get results with aversive training techniques. I got taught how to use aversive techniques with horses when I was a young man, and I absolutely got results, but I definitely caused a lot of harm to quite a number of horses along the way. And the biggest thing that I don't like about using aversives is that it damages my relationship with the animal. Now, if I was to teach you how to do something and every time you did the wrong thing, I hit you with a stick, do you think that would make you trust me and want to hang out with me and want to have a beautiful, deep, intimate, caring relationship with me? I know if you were hitting me with a stick every time I did something wrong, I would tend to be kind of cautious and untrusting and not want to open up my heart and soul to be in relationship with you. So that for me is why I don't use aversives. And I've just had a new puppy in the last year. We've got Jem. She's a little bit over a year old now. And she is the first dog that I have not used any kind of aversives with in bringing her up and training her. And Mitzi, who's 14, 15 years ago, I was still using physical punishment and aversives with him when he was a puppy. The difference in the relationship and the difference in the confidence and connection and everything with Jem compared to Mitzi is off the scale. It is a totally different universe. So April's 9/11 Academy, but the slight differences in energy is what you need to learn, because when an animal is in fight or flight, they have peptides locking in, they can't think, they're responding to their body only. And sometimes you need to use what works at the moment, and also because of the parents' PTSD. I'm just going to have to agree to disagree with you, April's 9/11 Academy. I mean, yes, if a dog's in danger, then I might have to do something firm with them to get them out of danger, but that's the only time that I would do that. Otherwise, I would take great care to set things up so that I don't need that the dog is in a learning state and the dog is not in fight and flight. And I would do everything I can to build resilience and relaxation and regulation in this dog so that then we can work together in a way that is kind, because kindness is absolutely my overwhelming value and principle when it comes to working with training and doing the helping anxious animals. Okay, so April's 9/11 Academy is now saying, every dog and parents are different. What do you do when the pet parents have bad PTSD themselves, and then this new fear of their dog hurting their baby, etc., and they can't do these other techniques? Okay, we're getting into kind of hypotheticals here. It would depend a lot on the individual context. Now, there have been a number of situations where I have spoken to people and said, you need to rehome your dog, or we need to consider behavioral euthanasia with this dog because this dog is unsafe. And if the people have bad post-traumatic stress themselves, then I would be getting the people to go and get help and therapy and deal with their end of the leash. But I will not agree that there is ever any justification for using violence, pain, fear, and aversive methods for training dogs. And I have seen a number of anxious dogs who have been to trainers who do aversives, and it has made them significantly worse. Okay, so we've got Vic, a question from Vic there. Thank you. Our new puppy loves all in the household. Harry is partial to me for falling asleep. Thoughts on how we can balance out his ability to fall asleep with any of us? That's a really good question, Vic. And all the rest of you who are on the call, please do pop in and ask a question. And also, all of you that haven't checked in and said hi yet, could you please say hi to me and let me know where you're from in the world and what dogs you have and why you're here. So a new puppy loves all in the household, but he kind of is a bit dependent on you for falling asleep. So the easy path here, and this is the easy path that most humans and most families will tend to take, is that, well, you would just be the one who helps the puppy go to sleep. And that's easy, right? So, but what I would suggest that you do is that you have a bit of a roster and you have this thing where you have a different person in the family help put the puppy to sleep each night. And you work through the puppy's frustrations and challenges with that as best you can. Now, this is just kind of general advice, and I can't give you specific advice because I don't know the exact circumstances of what's going on with your animals. But that's something you could try, and if you needed more kind of detailed help, you can then have a call with me if you like. Has anyone else got any questions? Okay, April's K9/11 Academy. It looks like you and I have quite a different mind view, worldview, and philosophy when it comes to working with dogs. But I got to tell you, tagging a dog one time with that electricity in a cold environment to get them out of fight or flight mode is not going to get them out of fight or flight mode. Any kind of painful, fearful stimulus is going to tend to put animals into a more aroused state of being. And that's the thing. Now, that's enough questions from you. Thank you, Canine 11 Academy. And I just want to know who else is here. It's been not the easiest conversation that we've been having with Canine 11 Academy, who is someone who believes that shocking dogs is a good idea. I do not believe that. So moving on to constructive ways of working with dogs. Now, I will talk a little bit more about this because I think it's really important. You can get results with shock collars, but as I said, it's definitely going to be harmful for the dogs one way or another, and it often makes things worse. Now, I'm waiting for some more questions. Who's got a question for me? Well, who's got a story about their dog to share, about something that's worked that they have done with their anxiety, or something that hasn't worked? You've got me for another 40-odd minutes here, and really would love for you to join in and give me something to work with here, because I will need to have your questions if I'm going to be able to help you out here. So yeah, my overwhelming kind of philosophy when it comes to working with animals is one of kindness, connection, respect, communication, and really listening to the animal, being really curious about what needs are driving behaviors and what fears or worries are driving anxious symptoms and all that kind of thing. Because the more that I can understand and listen to and know this beautiful, unique being that I'm working with, the more I can help them. Oh, we got some more questions. Thanks, everybody. M. Crozier. My dog gets anxious with certain types of noise. Once she hears it, she has difficulty to calm down. CBD doesn't really help. Eventually, I have to give her trazodone. So noise sensitivity is a very common type of anxiety for dogs. It's a tricky one because we can't, some anxiety triggers we can minimize and avoid fairly easily. But there's a lot of sounds in the environment that we cannot avoid. I mean, you get yahoos setting off fireworks at New Year's Eve and other days in the US. We have sirens and things, and we have all these kinds of different noises in the environment that we have no control over. So I would, with a dog like this, I would want to teach you how to do the relaxing touch. And this is one of the things that you will learn if you come and do the course that's linked up after this summit, if you want to learn further. In the course, Healing Anxiety, Dog Anxiety Holistically, which not only do I take you through how to create and implement a holistic treatment plan for your anxious pup, I show you how to do the relaxing touch in detail so that you can do it every day with your dogs. And a lot of dogs, when you do relaxing touch with them every day, we see really, really good changes in anxiety, reductions in anxiety. So it's definitely something that I have found to be incredibly, incredibly helpful for doing that. So there's that. And another thing that you can do is to get hold of some special sound cancelling headphones just for your dog. There's a company that makes these. I'm just going to get the link and pop it up for Gindi to share with you all. But this is something that is another option, that if you know there's going to be bad sounds and that's going on, then you can use these sound cancelling headphones. Can be helpful. Now, we've got 20 of you on the call now, and about 5 of you have said hi. So all the rest of you haven't said hi. Could you please pop in the chat, say hi, and let me know where you're from, because I really would love to know who's here and what's going on. Your happy dog coach says, I love you're not allowing that sort of conversation with whomever that canine antagonist was. Thank you. Yes, that was difficult. She was kind of pushy and kind of not really listening, but that's okay. Can malabsorption affect anxiety? That is an interesting question. So malabsorption is a gut issue, a digestive issue. And whenever you've got a gut that is not in full health, any kind of gut imbalance, distress, inflammation is going to contribute to anxiety and tend to make anxiety worse. So yes, any kind of gut issue can and often does affect anxiety and contribute to anxiety. Paul says, barking at dogs on a walk, please help. So barking at dogs on a walk is a reactivity issue, which is a kind of that fight face of anxiety where they're barking, lunging, or sometimes it can be overexcitement. So some dogs that are barking at other dogs on a walk is because, there's another dog. There's another dog. I want to go and get the other dog. So they bark out of excitement or over arousal, which is still another flavor of anxiety, in my opinion. Again, and you're going to hear me say this again and again and again, because no matter what kind of anxiety is going on, what I want to do with an animal is to teach relaxation and self-regulation. And the primary way I do this is with relaxing touch. So with your dog that is barking at other dogs and is a bit reactive, is that I would be doing relaxing touch every day, and then using relaxing touch out on a walk. You might, I mean, the way you do that is a little bit kind of specific, and you would need to have a lesson with me to teach you how to do that properly. But nearly always we see significant reductions in reactivity with this approach. And of course, supplements, CBD, ashwagandha, herbs, flower essences, homeopathics, energy healing, animal communication, and prescription medications sometimes are going to give the best outcomes for animals. So you need to consider all of these things, and this is part of what we will be talking about in the course. Which is behavior modification, the environment, and medication, which includes all the different kinds of interventions. There's a whole lot of different things that we can do to help these anxious animals but you need a structured plan, need to try things, need to see what works, and evolve what you're doing over time. Question from Barb. My brother praised his dog with food for the recall and returning a ball. Now the dog insists on the ball to eat. Any thoughts? Well, this is really fascinating because, your dog has formed an association between the ball and eating. Now, is that a problem? Maybe it could be a problem. If you wanted to unwind some of that, you might then do something like, well, no ball. Now, just to touch on this a little bit, ball play, balls ball addictions are a real problem with anxious animals and over-aroused, overexcited animals. Humans love throwing the ball because it razzes the dog up and the dog loves it. But the problem is that the dog is way over here in crazy land a lot of the time when they're chasing the ball. And any time that you're reinforcing crazy land, you're making anxiety worse overall. So any anxious dog that's got a ball addiction or really loves to play with the ball, I minimize and reduce ball play. And in fact, if they've got a severe ball addiction, I'll say we will take all the balls and all the toys and we'll put them in a box in a cupboard where the dog cannot see, hear, or find them. Now, that dog usually has a week of severe withdrawal, and they can be quite annoying. But after that week of withdrawal, then they will start being a dog again. I remember a border collie I saw in Townsville years ago. He just carried the ball and dropped the ball and carried the ball and drop and chase himself and drop and chase himself all day long. And we took his ball away, and after a week he started being a dog and sleeping and resting and all sorts of things, and his anxiety improved significantly. So you could just take the balls away, and when that dog gets hungry enough, it's highly likely that they would eat their food. So we got from Katrina. Thank you so much for your question, Katrina. We're in the middle of a terrible heat wave, and my neurospicy puppy can't be walked outside. He hates change and makes himself sick. He doesn't want to play. What do you suggest? Lots and lots of touch, relaxing touch. Lots and lots of just hanging out, even if you're just placing a hand on the body and being with your dog. Having them, if they're restless and fidgety and kind of hypervigilant and all around the house and being annoying, another thing that I recommend is what I call the umbilical method, which is putting your dog on the lead in the house. And this has got to be with you for half an hour, and they're not allowed to annoy you, and they've got to be in their own space. And nearly always after a period of time of working through frustration, your dog will start to self-regulate and relax themselves somewhat. But, with what you're describing, I would really strongly suggest that you give me a yell, give me a call, and get on and have a consultation with me, because that sounds like a complex case which needs some help from. I can't give you all the advice that I should be able to in this circumstance, because I'd need to have a good long talk with you about that. The change in routines is the trigger for him. He copes for a day, but we're on day 4 and now has tummy troubles, IBS again. And do you modify the healing touch for neurospicy dogs? More pressure? Look, I can't tell you exactly how to do this in this format. I would need to be able to give you direct feedback on what you're doing with the dog, how you're containing them, how you're managing the situation, because every dog is different, and I often need to give really individualized coaching to get the best results. Melissa Wright says, can dogs get hyper after CBD? Very rarely. With any kind of medication that is a behavioral type medication, whether it's CBD or any of the prescription medications, whether it be situational medications like gabapentin, pregabalin, trazodone, Valium type drugs, or baseline medications like fluoxetine and those other ones, you can, in rare cases, get a thing called paradoxical excitation, where it actually makes things worse. So yes, it is possible, but it's rare. We've got a question from Sharon. Do you feel that food can be a factor in behavior? Absolutely. Food is a really important factor and can have a profound impact on the psychological, neurochemical, physiological state of the dog, which all can contribute to an impact on severity of anxiety symptoms. Now, processed foods tend to make anxiety worse, in my opinion. And that's partly because they're inflammatory, and any inflammation in the brain is going to tend to make anxiety issues worse. But they're also packed full of carbohydrates, so they heat the dog's system up. It's a bit like feeding a racehorse oats. They get very hot and fiery. And if you're feeding a dog a whole lot of carbohydrates, same kind of thing happens. It's really, really important to get onto a fresh whole foods diet for all dogs. Doesn't matter what kind of dog they are, it'll help everything, including anxiety. Home cooked is okay too. It comes a close second to raw, but it's a very, very important factor. And you can go a little further with this, that you can get into the traditional Chinese medicine type paradigm, and you can then look at what foods are in terms of, are they warming, are they cooling, are they neutral? And I believe that if you get into using more cooling and neutral foods, that'll often cool down the dog's nervous system and help with anxiety. Hello to Patty from Canada. Thank you so much for saying hi. I appreciate it. Elena says, I have used positive training with my dog because he does not do well with adverse training. Absolutely. And dogs don't. It tends to make anxiety worse. It tends to cause psychological harm. And good on you for using positive training. I also use touch a lot in training because I found that relaxing touch, you've got a dog and you're teaching them, and if they're over here in the hot orange zone, then they can't learn very well. But if you use relaxing touch to help them anchor into the green zone, you can get your dogs into optimal learning states and help them to be calmer, happier, and easier. Hi to your happy dog coach, new baby trainer in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada. Welcome. Thank you for saying hi. Elena also says, I'm wondering if you have suggestions for reducing treats in training. Now, I don't actually use treats much at all when I'm working with dogs, and I do a lot of training with dogs with behavior problems and anxiety. I don't use treats with my own dogs in training. Now, treats are a dopamine triggering phenomenon or stimulus. So they cause seeking behavior, and they're stimulating and arousing. And personally, I want a dog that is kind of grounded and calm. And the other thing about treats that concerns me a bit is that I see a lot of dogs that have had a lot of positive reinforcement training and a lot of treats, and they're really just focused on the lolly. Where's the lolly? Where's the lolly? Give me the lolly, give me the lolly. And some of these dogs come in to see me, and I won't have a treat, and they'll start doing all their tricks. They'll start holding out a paw to shake hands, or standing up, or lying down, or rolling over. It's like, I'll just keep doing things so I get a treat. And they get a bit confused with me because I'm not giving them a treat. I tend to want to use touch rather than treats. And, one of the things I like to challenge people to do is to go out and train your dog without a treat pouch at all. 1 day a week. If you train with treats generally all the time, go out 1 day a week without a treat pouch. And, man, you're probably going to get hellishly frustrated and find it really difficult and really hard, but it will grow you as a dog trainer in ways that you cannot believe, because you're going to have to find other ways to motivate the dog that are not about a lolly. But if you want to reduce them, you can just reduce it little by little, little by little, little by little. That you can, you just don't give a treat. You work out, how often am I rewarding when I ask them to do something? Then halve it. And then halve it again. And then, like I said, it's really, really interesting and a great challenge to try training or doing some stuff without any treats at all and see how you go. You will have to find new ways. Hi to S. Taylor from Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for saying hi. And we've got Patty Kelly. What 1 or 2 things could you suggest for pet parents that have an anxious dog that don't have the funds to hire help for them? Buy my book is the first thing that I would suggest, because the book is Find and Heal Your Pet's Silent Pain. Now, silent pain is a big contributor to anxiety, so working on that will help. But I also teach you how to do the relaxing touch in that book, and you can get it. The digital version is under is about under $5 US, under $10 Australian, or you can get a print copy at Amazon if you prefer it. There's the Australian Amazon link in there, but if you search on Amazon for Find and Heal Your Pet Silent Pain, you'll find it no matter where you are. So that's the first thing I do, because it's a very affordable resource. It teaches you how to do two things that are going to make a big difference to your anxiety dog. One is finding a simple method for relieving pain out of their body. And the second thing is some relaxing touch, which will make a difference too. The second thing, I would encourage that human to work with themselves, to get out and find relaxation resources and do every bit of healing and relaxation and regulation. The more that you, the human, become a really strong relaxation anchor and co-regulation anchor for your dog, the better. Now, if you want to work with me too, you can grab the book. You can click through, go to thehealingvet.com. You can book a discovery call if you want a one-on-one personalized consult with me. And we've got some more questions there. Your happy dog coach. Would creating an in-home sensory experiencing for Katrina Davey to do with her pup as well on those tough days? Sniffing, calming, slow movements in his own pace and safe space. That may help. I kind of get a sense, though, that he's so wound up that he's not very responsive to food or anything at all. So I'd probably be more wanting to get to really intensive, relaxing touch work to get him back into a place where he could then engage with and work with, and really then if they're in too much higher levels of arousal, then they're not going to really be able to respond to things that will help a dog that is not in such a high state of arousal, like sensory and all that sort of stuff. They can so sometimes if you've got a dog that is really jammed into hot orange or red zone of arousal anxiety, then you've got to do kind of more remedial things to get them back to a place where they've got enough capacity then to start engaging with other things which help them move even more into relaxation. That's a really good question. Thank you so much, your happy dog coach. So Barb says, so with Jem, your whippet, do you use rewards that appeal to her prey drive? Look, I play with Jem with tug toys and some throwing of things and kind of wrestling play and stuff like that. But I'm not using that play as a reward. I'm just doing it for fun and relationship building. And if I go to training and teaching, then I'm more using healthy boundaries, relaxing touch. I'll use different qualities of therapeutic touch or touch-based training to help get her to understand that I wanted to drop or sit or things like that. But I don't really teach my dogs tricks. I just want to have basic obedient, that they can walk on a lead without pulling on the lead, where they can sit when they're asked and drop when they're asked and stay and go out of my space when I ask them to. That I don't do dog sports and stuff, though it is likely that I will take Jem off to do lure coursing, because I've never seen a dog who loves running as much as Jem. And I think she would really, really love lure coursing. And when she gets to an age bracket where it's appropriate for her to be able to do that particular dog sport, then I will probably head off and take her out for a fun weekend of chasing a thing very, very fast, because she does love to do that. But I don't, my rewards are generally touch-based, relationship-based, attention-based, rather than, again, if I was using a reward that appealed to her prey drive, I'd be taking her over into aroused, excited states, and I want a calm, grounded dog. So I tend to work with methods and types of rewards that are oxytocin dominant rather than dopamine dominant, and that they really help the dog stay anchored in the green zone. Patty Kelly says, how is your healing touch, the whole different from Tellington touch? So Tellington touch, as far as I understand it, is a process of using gentle circling movements with touch over the body in a variety of ways. How whole energy body balance differs from that is that, number one, we have a very comprehensive assessment process where we teach you how to feel into the body and discover and unearth where there is silent pain, soft tissue pain, neck and back pain. So you can map out where there's issues, and then you can focus attention on relieving and healing pain in the areas where you found that there is pain. And we teach a much, much broader range of skills than Tellington touch. We have 20 plus skills. There's a subset of relaxing touch skills. There's craniosacral type skills. There's movement-based rocking, pulsing skills. And then there's a whole range of release work where we sink deep into the body, and there's a whole different lot of ways to get right deep through the layers and release pain and tension out of the body. So it's a very comprehensive system. There's a broader range of skills than any other one that I've come across. The other thing about whole energy body balance, the other difference with whole energy body balance is that we do have a practice for you, the human, that gets you into the most beautiful state of presence and connection possible, so that you are more able to help the animal with your hands. And we have a second, Web Body Work for Pets, which is therapeutic touch-based. And then we have a second program, Web Energy Work for Animals, which is intuitive development and energy healing. Eleanor says, our rescue Papillon mix has become very aggressive with others in the house since I broke my ankle. He seems to be protecting me. I've met a lot of spicy Papillons in my career. That if he is more bonded to you, then that definitely could be what's going on, that this is kind of protective or resource guarding. The first thing that I want to help people do when we've got a behavior that is undesirable, unsafe, or dangerous is to take away the opportunity for that dog to practice that behavior. And the best way to do that a lot of the time is through containing the dog one way or another, whether it be on lead, holding them, getting them in a crate, or whatever. So if your rescue is becoming like that, putting them on a lead might be a strategy that you can use, where you keep them with you and you tell them, no, not allowed to do that. No being aggressive and trying to eat everyone else in the house. Or another thing you might be able to do then is put the dog on lead and have someone else take the dog, so that they're spending time with other family members and having some time away from you. That might help break up this pattern of behavior somewhat. Okay, we run out of questions. Still got about 12 minutes left, so I'd love to answer some more questions. If you have anything that you're curious about at all, here I am, waiting for your questions so that I can answer them. No more questions just yet. So while we're waiting for the next question, I would like to just ask you all to come into your body and see how much you can relax right now. How much can you soften your belly and your shoulders and your tongue and jaw? Oh, as soon as I do that, my body wants to take a deep breath, because that's parasympathetic nervous system switching on. Everything you do to switch your parasympathetic nervous system on, upregulate your parasympathetic nervous system, will sympathetically upregulate your pet's parasympathetic nervous system. So from Melissa, we've got another couple of questions. Thank you. Do fecal transplants help with anal glands? Maybe yes, maybe no is the answer to that. Anal glands and anal gland impaction is something that affects a reasonable number of dogs, and there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason about which dogs it does or it doesn't affect. But I would you can try it, and a fecal transplant is generally going to be a very wonderful, healthy thing to do for your dogs in terms of increasing vitality, resilience, and well-being on multiple levels: gut, emotional, immune, all sorts of things. So I highly recommend exploring fecal transplants. I think they're a fantastic treatment. And your happy dog coach says, I've just had my vet recommend glucosamine for my dog's hips. What do you think? So this is a kind of nutraceutical that is useful for arthritis in aging dogs. Now, if you've got a dog with anxiety as they age, if their pain levels pick up, it may well exacerbate anxiety. Another thing that happens in older dogs as they age is canine cognitive dysfunction or doggy dementia. And anything you can do to reduce pain is going to help with anxiety. So glucosamine can be helpful, though I tend to prefer green lip mussel extract as my first kind of go-to for supplements that help with arthritis. And I like CBD as pain relief for arthritis because it's not only a very strong anti-inflammatory pain relief, but it's also really good for helping with anxiety and helping with doggy dementia. We've run out of questions again. So just waiting to see if there'll be any more questions while we're waiting. Writing those recommendations, I'll just pop them in the chat. Yep, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can. Best supplements other than touch and fresh diet for, I'm presuming you're talking about anxiety. I really love ashwagandha as a very safe, very effective herb for that kind of thing. And CBD, antioxidants, and there's my brain's gone. Footsie, I can't remember the name of the other thing. There is a milk-based medication that also can be helpful from vets, which is more safe. Ashwagandha, you can give it with other herbs. It's generally safe with lots of different things. Patty says, I just watched Kamal's video. Very interesting. My dog gets upset when traveling in the car and going to new places. He said to start in small steps. So we're just going to the car and back, be your first step. Yeah. You might go to the car and back and 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 the car and back. The dog goes, oh my God, I'm so bored. I'm going to relax. And then you might go and sit in the car for a few minutes and go back into the house. And then you might go back out and sit in the car for a few minutes, go back in the house. And this is one place where positive reinforcement can be really good. And where I do recommend positive reinforcement is this counter conditioning, where you take a dog into a place where they don't like it and they're fearful, like the vet or the car or whatever, and you give them lots of yummy treats. And you give them lots of yummy treats. And you give them lots of yummy treats. And this is somewhere where I do find treats can be really, really helpful in counter conditioning. Colostrum is another thing that can be really helpful. Yes, colostrum and camel milk is another thing that apparently can be really good for well-being. But colostrum helps modulate the immune system, reduce inflammation, and all of these things are going to have a flow-on effect with helping with anxiety. Your happy dog coach. I also have a rescue pup who is now 5. She's been with us since she was about 4 or 5 months. She's fearful of men and will still bark at my husband, especially when in his uniform. So your dog has had some bad experiences with men, probably particularly a man in uniform at some point, and they have remembered that and they get worried about it and fearful when they see a man in uniform. So, one thing might be to get your husband to wear his uniform all weekend, so that it's just like, oh, he's in his uniform. Oh, he's in his uniform. Oh, maybe I can relax. He's in his uniform and nothing bad happened. That might be a strategy that I'd suggest for something like that. Though your husband might not want to wear his uniform all weekend, which would be fair enough. Though another thing that you might be able to do is that if he comes in and he's in his uniform, then you might do relaxing touch and calming stuff, and get your husband to give him yummy treats is another thing to counter condition that, and all of that type of stuff. So you might have every day when your husband comes home in his uniform that you have your dog on lead and you say no barking, sit, stay, drop. Get your husband to come over and give lots of really high value yummies that can help counter condition for that kind of thing. Now we are just about out of time. This has been an awesome session. Thank you so much for all your really beautiful questions, because they it's been really good questions today. We got one more session tomorrow. I hope you all come back and have this last day with me. I've been really enjoying these sessions, and we will look forward to hopefully having a really good day, and maybe no more grumpy people who believe in electric shock collars for dogs. It was a bit of an interesting conversation, but it's a good conversation to have. Awesome. I think we will wrap it up for now. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Give your pets a pat for me. I'll see you back same place, same time tomorrow. And please really consider jumping on, grabbing the course, which Kindy will pop the links up for again right now. And also, if you want to work with me one-on-one, you can, if Kindy will pop those links in again, so that if you want to get my book, if you want to have a holistic consultation, anxiety, holistic consultation with me, then you can absolutely give me a hoy. Love to help you. But for now, goodbye. Have a beautiful day with your pets, and we'll see you tomorrow. So we will just keep going for another minute or two, so that if there are any of the links there that you want to click on, you can click on them before we close down. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, those links will be in the comments stream too, so you'll be able to find them. Have a beautiful day. Goodbye for now, and give your pets a pat from me.